Welcome to June's horoscope, or as I like to call it, the season of embarrassment, because what are you all doing? What on earth are you all doing? I know I said June's word was ego, but this is not what I had in mind. I would love to remind you, ego is ahamkara. Ahamkara means a tool of spirit, aka your soul. It is a tool that allows you to understand you have an independent consciousness. You are control of the decisions you make. It is a tool that is there to make sure you do not fall victim to predatory ideologies. You don't mindlessly follow things. But look at y'all. Look at y'all. I appreciate I did predict June people would embarrass themselves, and you know, but I have faith in humanity. I like to think people can take this energy and do good with it, because you know, when ego is used properly, this is what it creates. It allows someone to have courage to tell their truth. It will make someone feel confident, even if they are the odd one out. It can create so many beautiful things, but with a caveat: what are you using the tool to build? What is the condition in which you keep the tool? And by the stuff that I am seeing on Shah Rukh Khan's internet, you have all lost your minds. This is not how we're meant to use this energy. So what I thought I'd do was bring everyone back to earth and tell you how you're gonna use June to express your truth and flourish abundantly, but not at the expense of showing your metaphorical ass cheeks to the universe. Let's talk about it. Go and grab a cup of chai. Hibiscuses, look to the left of the screen. Read the title. Now, ask yourself, when I wrote this Instagram horoscope, and I was like, yes, hibiscuses, express your truth. Don't you be scared. You have the courage to stand out. It's okay if you're different. We need different. We're in the downfall of colonialism. So much good is coming. It requires braveness. Now tell me why 10 days into June, people are expressing their truth, but it's all the wrong people. And whose truth is this? I don't believe in naming and shaming. Not at this stage of my career, I don't. But I believe you and I exist on the same internet. There are so many different scandals coming out and so many people going through it, like literally being piled on. And all I can think about, it was all self-made. Like, this is literally, they are the architect of their own destruction. They are the architect of their own embarrassment, their own delays. So, the way I want to approach this horoscope was, firstly, I'm going to say proactive damage control. There is no need for you to fall prey to the nonsense that we're seeing, because the thing is, people are expressing their truths, and I suppose to some extent, maybe it's got plans. Maybe you were meant to embarrass yourself on such a big platform so people can understand, oh, I am not following the correct things, or oh my god, I can't be associated to this. I need to back off, which also ironically is a part of June's horoscope. I just anticipated something more positive. I like to think good things, but Kali Yog is really yogging, and it's getting increasingly hard not to be like, well, yes, I anticipate A, B, and C, and it to be like basically Wednesday Addams of astrology. But where there is a light, there is a me. I will find positivity. All jokes aside though, look, June is a wonderful time for you to really get out there. The reason I kicked off June's horoscope by describing the ego is because I wanted you to understand it is simply a tool. And when we think about ego, can I be honest, ego is really weaponized with Starbucks spirituality. You know, you'll get a lot of these Starbucks spiritualists telling you your ego is bad, you need to remove it, you need to submit to them. This is not the case at all. Your ego is one part a defense mechanism, which is good. You need defense. You don't need to mindlessly follow things. Number two, is also an ability that gives you to attack right? To go after things. Sometimes if we didn't have our ego, we wouldn't go for certain things. It'd be too scary to. And then I think thirdly, it's there to make sure you keep your self-respect and your integrity intact, which I can say, not you guys personally, but what I'm seeing play out.
Oh my god. Oh, bring back shame. Bring back shit. The one thing the first 2 weeks of June is teaching me, we need to bring back shame. We don't shame people. We shame the wrong people. We need to reconfigure who we are shaming, our style of shaming, and make it effective. Like, forget canceling. Shame people. Shame them into better behaviors because, yeah. But also the people who've embarrassed themselves, they all benefit from some type of oppression. So I'm like, oh, maybe you embarrassing yourself is like part of the divine plan. It's hard to tell.
But I just don't wish for any of you to embarrass yourselves. And also I appreciate when you are watching people go through such destruction online or publicly, it can probably make you equally scared to put yourself out there. But I anticipate if you follow me, you're not like that. And it's okay. You won't get like tomatoes thrown at you. But there is a tone, there's a tact, there's a way. We can figure it out. So let's get into cosmic business. I would like to remind you all, my tagline for this Instagram horoscope was, this is a time where oddballs go from being overlooked to getting the most praise. However, in hindsight, perhaps certain people embarrassing themselves the way they are all just a part of clearing the path so new people can come on. Because sometimes, think about it, due to the nature of what we're seeing and people are doing, how people are embarrassing themselves really activates people's intelligence. I think it's kind of continuing that theme that we are seeing in 2024 in terms of the falling of idols, people's philosophies, outlooks.
To say philosophies, I'm so sorry, it's 10 o'clock at night. One day I will get through one of these videos without alarming.
But it's, you know, we're in the thing of people's philosophies changing, their outlooks, their perceptions, this thing they know. So again, perhaps this element of embarrassment with team nonsense over here, all part of God's plan, divine intervention, if you will. But the other aspect is, I just didn't want any of you to freak out. Think about it. Do you know what comes to mind? Growing up, my mum always used to say I had like a really mature palate, aka I eat all kinds of funky foods. I always have. I have a very hot and sour spicy palate. So I've always liked stuff like all different kinds of kimchi. I love different types of blue cheeses, stuff like tom yum soup. Yeah, like I have a really intense palate. And my mum's like, you enjoy it because you can taste all the different flavors. She's like, some people don't have those kind of taste buds, Rani. And I'm like, sucks to be you. But in hindsight, June has a bit of that energy, right? Where so much is going on. And yeah, surface level, it just looks scandalous, right? It's literally like back to back, like. But think about it. If you can kind of get through the scandals and like the superficiality of it all, it's change, is it not? Because if you are finally, because the people who are feeling embarrassed in June or kind of feeling that more bitter energy, well, at some point they were normalized, right? These are people who were admired, seen as like, we'll say hashtag goals, whatever. We aspire to have the things they have, do what they do, acquire their mindsets. I think it's good if we're getting cringed out by them, because there's nothing we've normalized that is healthy. None of it is inclusive. None of it does good. We all feed into oppression somehow, some way. So yeah, it's probably good if we find certain people embarrassing and cringe. It's hopeful. You see what I did? Where there's a will, there is a light, and there is me. I will make sure we see the goodness in this madness here. So you have that, okay? But getting back to it, if we concentrate on this slide, the sun really plays a golden touch because the sun represents the following. So number one, ego, right? I think in times where you are kind of being called to get like some more recognition, to put yourself out there for your talents, your knowledge, your skills to be seen, it can be very daunting. Like it is very, very daunting. And I always feel like when that moment comes, for a lot of people, they want to hide, and understandably so, right? But that's just not the season we're in. So ego can be good because it can give you that like last minute thing that makes you go out there when you wanted to run away, right? It can give you a sense of my work matters and I 100% should take up space. So like going from that little oddball or unconventional person who wants to hide away and probably feels very embarrassed for liking what they do and who they are, fantastic time. And I think just by the way we are seeing things play out, whilst yes, it is, I get secondhand embarrassment. When I was younger, I used to really love gossip. I'm an e-news girly. I love all of it. But the older I've got and the deeper I've got into my Southerner, I hate it. Like there's so much stuff I don't watch anymore because I can't take it. So I think don't allow the secondhand embarrassment to scare you away, and also don't think that would happen to you. Like I said, all this kind of scandalous behavior is paving the pathway to something good. Now take a deep sip of jar and stay with me now. So when we look at the sun, there are other aspects too. So one, it represents public opposition. The second thing, it represents challenges. The third thing is it represents criticism. But it also represents our courage. And yep, the sun exposes everything. Brightest star there is, right? So again, let's break it down because it's good. It is good. It just depends on the state of your ego and your karmas. And I think that's always really important to consider when you watch these videos. Like, what have you been up to? That's why I'm getting the habit of dividing them into two categories. Even that is too black and white, but I want you to see both ends of the spectrum of how people would experience the transit. So when we look at this idea of like criticism, public opposition, you know, really scary words, right? Nobody wants to be in opposition to anybody. No one wants to be criticized. Just a little girl, I'm just a little baby, like praise me. This reminds me of a time I told a boy I want him to pine after me like the tree. But no one wants to be in that, right? But let's flip it. What happens if you're in opposition to stuff that is inherently rotten? What happens if you're getting criticized by people who benefit from something that's not great? Is it that bad? Not really. And what happens if you being in that situation is raising awareness and creating like a lot of good conversation? And also, what happens if people have your back? Who says you'll go through this and you'll be alone? And I think also, it'll be a time where you care less about these things. Again, Saturn is in Bhadra. If you're new around here, that's Aquarius type 7 to 9. That's about committing to a higher cause. One thing I said this a lot last year when Saturn was in Shatabishka, 100 demons and 100 healers, and like the King's Fortunate Star. I was like, look, the latest generation of healers, thinkers and everything are coming, and people are going to trust them because they have lived life. These are people who have made mistakes. These are people who have bounced back. These are people who have overcome many adversities, and they come in all shapes and forms, right? This is not just like a wooga person on YouTube that can help you. Perhaps it's a mother whose child had cancer and then she writes a sitcom. Perhaps it's a football coach who starts training
a goals for war team. Why am I quoting Bender like Beckham to you? But also inspirational behavior. But perhaps it's a conversation around power dynamics, because why, Sarah, are you hating on this young Punjabi girl when you are in a position of power? I can't enjoy anything that I enjoyed from my youth. It's the same way that I'm like, let me watch my comfort show Sex in the City, and then I'm horrified. To be fair, Jules energy, stuff that you used to think was really cool, you want to follow. Also looking at that, fantastic, growth, develop, chef's kiss.
So you have that element of it, right? No problem. You're going to be okay. And one thing I like to say is, I found this in my own journey, right? Always when I was getting really close to making impact, that's when people would be the loudest and the nastiest. But then do you know when they would shut up? It's when like a community that I accidentally created, Lord knows what's happening here, would like gather around me. And when they would see, when it was just me, it was easy to pick on me, right? You don't think I have a voice, blah, blah, blah. But also you want to pick on me because whatever I'm saying exposes, highlights all the rottenness in you. However, I'll put it this way. There have been moments in my career where I have been really, really nervous to speak. And like I have wanted to bottle it so badly. But then it dawns on me, well, when I speak, it's not really for me. It helps so many other people. It can raise awareness for people who don't have a voice. And that's why they're so scared. So I need to get over myself. I need to not think this is about me. And I just need to help. And however this is meant to play out, it will. For the no nonsense crew, that's you. So don't feel nervous. Don't feel scared. It's good. Just keep going. Put yourself out there. You won't even have to do too much. But my thing here is don't be scared to shine, right? Sun also represents enlightenment. Fantastic. 10, 10. And you'll feel more comfortable in your identity to a certain extent that you're going to want to show off. You're going to want to say this other stuff here. We're not like, they're not like us. They not like us. I don't know if I can put that in because of copyright. But perfect song. Put it on repeat. Now, for the nonsense crew, I got some stuff to say to you. I want you to look at me in the eyes. Look at me when I am speaking to you.
If you're not watching this on the toilet, that's disgusting, that's creepy. Why are you half naked watching this? What is going on, brother? Anyways,
back to the 3 questions. Number 1, who is criticizing me? Who is criticizing me? What could I have possibly done or said that these people, this person, feels hurt, upset, bewildered, confused, outraged by my behavior? What could my thoughts mean to these people? Just let's start with the who. Who in the room is not cool with you? Why would they not be cool with you? Let's have some self-awareness. Number 2, why? Why am I facing criticisms? Why? If you can't answer that question, we have bigger things. God, good luck with the rest of 2024. You gonna need it. And number 3, what can I do to make sure this changes? When we look at the more serious side of June, which is that kind of, I think it's fair to say, like a very rude awakening and kind of like, because again, the theme of June is ego, right? It can be as good or as bad as you want it to be, depending on how you've been looking after your ego, how you've been using it. But if you're on the nonsense side of this conversation and you are faced with the bitter fruits of your ego, there is no point in doubling down. There is no point in putting your head in the sand. Fundamentally, there is something about your behavior, your actions that is not really working for you. And it will only escalate and cause you more grief. And also, if you find that you can only express yourself around certain people, again, ask yourself those 3 questions. Why can you only exist in a bubble? What is going on here? And why do you find it so scary to host different conversations? Because again, the sun represents enlightenment. Look, we will all mess up. This is why I don't believe in like dragging people online or anything like that, because I just it's very cruel. 2, I don't think it's productive. Like, there's ways to handle business effectively. That is not it. I have this very strict rule of like acting from a place of grace, because I'm like, why would I allow you to mess up my character? Like, you're gonna be funky, and in your funkiness, that's the thing that's going to make me look good. There's elements of that. So again, if you're on the nonsense side of things, think about why you are facing the challenges, the difficulties you are. What is it about your behavior and your perception? An ego can equally bind you. Think. Because truly, when the sun transits all 9 types of Taurus and all 9 types of Gemini, as we will experience in June, it's really about this time where a lot of fear and shame can be removed. However, sun exposes. So as much as it can remove someone's fear, I don't know, what you've been doing in the dark can come to light, or you can get very strong insights about yourself. And I think, again, depending on what you've been up to, that can feel good, that can feel bad. But either way, you gon' see. I think ultimately, look, the sun's golden touch this month plays out in terms of understanding our ethics, the quality of them, right? And it's no one should feel worried about their ethics, truly. Like, sincerely, most of you watching this are fine. That will be the reality, right? But we all have areas where we can improve. There's always areas where we are blind or too narrow. There are areas where we are too self-righteous. In June, you are really going to understand the way you've been navigating. Was it worth it? Do we need to change? Because Rohini and Mrigshira deal so much with acquisition also. And you're going to feel real messed up and really not good in yourself if you click on, you are missing out on certain things because of yourself. Not because of other people, not like you. That's the hardship. But that's that acquired taste in June. Next slide. So let's talk about Sun and Rohini. I used two of my favorite women as examples. So both Angelina Jolie and Lauryn Hill have Sun and Rohini. If you're new around here, that is Taurus type 47. So when we look at Rohini, what you're talking about specifically when the sun is in it, someone has an immense amount of energy and ability to basically fulfill their desires, right? It's a star of expansion, right? Rohini's very, very auspicious. Now, what it comes down to is the quality of the person's desires. So again, think of the word ego. So let's look at it on a positive front first. Both Angelina and Lauryn love their craft, right? Angelina with acting, Lauryn with music. There's a real dedication there. Because there's that devotion to that desire, look at the careers they have built for themselves. Secondly, these are incredibly intelligent women. They're so wonderful in their own ways. They have never allowed people to limit them in what they can achieve, whether that's their sense of motherhood, whether that's their sense of charity, education, like whatever their beliefs are, these women have been wonderful in making it happen. But also sometimes they have been a victim of their own desires. So with Angelina and Lauryn, I think one thing they share in common is, to put it respectfully, a bittersweet love life, right? Because the thing is, Rohini is a devotional sign. This is why when you do marriage compatibility, most pundits will try to look for people who have Rohini moons because it's the perfect partner, essentially. It's someone who will love their spouse unconditionally, like 10-10. But that has pitfalls too. And we see that with these women. These women have had relationships where they have really wanted people, they have given their all, but perhaps seeing the reality of these people has not been the strongest in them, and they have suffered due to their desires in different ways. There's elements of that in June, right? So I think on one regard, this is wonderful. It's going to give you all the motivation, the intellect, or the zhuzh, the masala, to go and start fulfilling your ambitions, really getting that oomph in yourself. Like I said, it's a wonderful time, a lot of time for expansion and growth. However, and as we are seeing very vividly online especially, this is a time where people can act out. They can literally do so much damage pursuing things they think they want or they desire, not knowing their desires are misguided. You know, I did this TikTok video earlier today where I said, okay, of course it's important to understand and be led by your emotions, but what happens if your emotions are inspired by insecurities? What happens if your emotions are being tampered with due to like negative experiences, or people are provoking you and manipulating you? What then? Are these emotions safe to follow? June has that aspect. So I feel like you can clearly see the good in this transit, but you can equally see where it gets very techie. And again, I've even seen in people's readings where, like, to put it gently, people are spiraling, but they're not understanding they're spiraling because of their own perceptions. And the thing that they are chasing after is simply not for them. And even the things that they want, the approach is so off. They don't like it. It's a very, I think it's a very incredibly difficult time for those kinds of people. And I just think pay attention to where you are receiving delays, backlash, all of that. sit with yourself, really ask yourself, why do I experience what I do? Do I contribute to the experiences I'm having in any particular way? Just ask yourself. And I also think when we look at Rohini, it is just a story of where Rohini has to taste what it wants to understand sometimes what it wanted isn't all that. Then it course corrects and then it ends up where it needs to be. Bada boom, bada bing. On a final note, I wanted to mention Rohini does represent devotion, right? It represents this ability to break through any barrier, any limit, any challenge, because they are that devoted to the thing that they love, their cause, that person. They'll make it happen. They'll endure anything because their sense of faith and like oomph in something, so strong. You can see the really beautiful side to this energy, right? I think the main thing I want to make clear is, look, don't miss out on what you love and what you want and what you deserve because you don't know how to apologize. Don't end up in a pickle or refrain from doing stuff because you don't have words. That's an excuse. It's okay. Maybe just say, this is what I feel, but I don't know how to communicate, or I would like to say something, but I don't have the words. But ego, does that make sense? Sometimes ego will make us think everything has to be perfect for us to put ourselves out there, to break bread with people A, B, and C. Don't block your own blessings in June. I cannot emphasize this enough. This is such a nice breath of fresh air and relief after very tough months. But there is that bittersweet angle, and it will only be as good as you want it to be. But if you stay wrapped up in your ego, you think you're self-righteous. I'm genuinely a little bit concerned because I have never seen this amount of many people embarrass themselves and literally create like their own carnage so clearly. Just think about it. Just think about it. Not worth it. Because in July, I promise you, the pep talks are... Yeah, July's energy is go-getter. So don't get left behind. For what reason? It doesn't have to be like that. You have complete control. It's your ego that's going to stop you, huh? Anyway. Okay, so... Then the sun enters Mrigshira, the sign of hunting, the sign of searching, fulfilling our desires, intellect. When the sun hits Mrigshira, it talks about a time of committing to the path. You see, with the sun in Rohini, it's talking about that last minute brain configuration about what path should I pick. Soon as sun hits Mrigshira, you are on that path, whether you like it or not. That's why I'm saying it's so important to take stock of your behaviors, what you're acting like. Is it worth it? For people will say on the more positive side of this reading, this is fabulous. You are going to have so much passion, courage, like all that jazz around you to go ahead. So go for it. June is that expansion time. It's leading up to Jupiter being in Rohini, the sign of expansion. Like go, build. Love that. Now, for the other side, hello, are you listening, Hibiscus? Mrigshira, when it's unbalanced, talks about someone always thinking the grass is greener and ending up in very sticky scenarios. Do not be a victim of your ego in June. It's so avoidable. That's why I'm trying to emphasize it so much. All of this is very, very avoidable. However, if you want to constantly like put your head in the sand, you want to constantly think there's nothing wrong with me and I deserve everything and like all this nonsense and move from a place of fears and insecurities. Like, I'm really sorry to break it to you, but like, you feel that heat, you feel that upsetness, and it's going to be so sad because it's going to teach you are the architect of your own misery. Rohini and Mrigshira also deals with people who we take advice from, right? There is a very like intense element in June where you work out the intentions and the quality of people you've been listening to. Shout out to all the girlies and the gays who listen to these crazy tarot readers who are clearly scamming you for money. Oh, you gonna feel that in June also. But just switch on. Just please, it doesn't have to be like this. You don't have to like go through that. Come on now. The universe will always give us time to change and course correct, but it's giving you like stronger sides in June. Please listen, please take it. Come on. I think the other nice side of Mrigshira, it deals with the side of handling business. So a lot of Mrigshira's, hence I use Tupac and Rahul Gandhi, whilst they seem like they have nothing in common, they actually have everything in common. Both of these men at the beginning of their career were deeply mocked for being too idealistic. No, I don't like you, too soft boy, A, B, and C. Now look at them. One man is like a bona fide rap legend, gangster as F, and also is he not being vindicated in the year of P. Diddy's downfall? Just saying, what did I say at the beginning of this? What did I say? Also, Rahul Gandhi. Listen, this man is constantly bullied on so many different levels, but look how he handled his business during this campaign. Look how he went from being mocked from being a soft boy to Shira. Look at how he has gathered different allies, and the India elections alone. So yeah, he may not have won elections, but the impact his campaigning did, his intellect. Mrigshira talks about standing up against a bully, to like go from being scared and running away to like, trust me, I wish you would, because today you're gonna learn. You see how good June energy can be, but it requires you to have that oomph. It requires you to be dedicated to a purpose that is worthy, that is just, you know? Again, sometimes when we will say devote ourselves to certain things that aren't really for us, or all that glitters is not gold type vibe, you're gonna learn that too. Just be cautious of burning out too quickly. Again, Mrigshira is ruled by Mars, so for as ferocious as it is when it gets going, sometimes it can easily burn out. So think about like a toddler. But it's like, yeah, I'm going to do A, B, and C. And then it downs a bunch of milk. And then before you know it, you have a small human like passed out on the sofa, inebriated, drunk off happiness. Obviously, I wish that for all of you. But like small bite-sized steps so you actually complete the things you want to do. Are you getting the vibe of June? I told you it's good. It's just really depends on what you've been devoting and what you've been desiring yourself to. And it's okay if you wake up during June and work out the things you've been chasing you don't want anymore. That's okay. Take it as a blessing. You can always recorrect. Always. This brings me to my final side, things to do this month. So before I get into this, the main thing I wanted to emphasize, June is inherently a really beautiful month. It talks about a time where you start to see the worth in the sacrifices you've made, right? The things you've devoted yourself to, they will work. Like your faith is reaffirmed. I genuinely think June is such a wonderful, wonderful time. However, just because of the stuff that I've seen and the frequency I've seen it at, it's hard to ignore that June may be a really, honestly, like embarrassing and tough time for some people. But it doesn't have to end like that. Like, yeah, of course, we're all getting dished up, essentially, the reality of our ego. But don't forget, you have free will. You can decide the kind of meal you want to eat. You don't, like, there is always time to change. And in some regards, take it as a learning moment. And then once you learn, cool, it's changed. There's no need to sit in the trenches at all. But let's go through this bit by bit. So number 1, commit to what you want to achieve within the next 3 years. Rohini's the star of expansion. Rohini talks about picking that path. Then Mrigshira is going to be the hunt and making it happen. Mrigshira's power is the power to fulfill our desires. Treat that stuff seriously. Number 2, spend time figuring out your style and begin embedding habits that nourish your well-being on a daily basis. So both with Rohini and Mrigshira, they dream big, but they're not very practical. So it's like, if you have a certain vision when it comes to yourself or things you like to achieve, let's not make it so far-fetched. Like, think big, of course, but then break everything down, right? And also look after yourself. Rohini and Mrigshira are very successful and very well-to-do, but they both burn out really quickly, right? They're spectacular, but they need a lot of TLC. So think about how you can sustain yourself in your journeys going forward. Thirdly, think about the company you're keeping. Is it actually the best for you? All grown-ups here, do as you please, but just remember. And then finally, drop the ego and be honest in love. The time for commitment and deepening bonds is approaching. I just realized you guys have never seen me like spoke about like romance and love online. Isn't that going to be an exciting time when that comes? Just kidding. I am a virgin with no prospects. But all jokes aside, right? There's so many elements. Love doesn't always have to be romantic, but there is Rohini and Mrigshira do deal with romantic love. But let's put it this way: whatever you care for, right? And we will all feel this in June. This is not either. This is everyone. We're gonna be required to be a little bit more vulnerable, open up. That's okay. But when the time comes, just be honest. The thing is, in my last video, I said if you're on the receiving end of these apologies, be graceful. Don't be a douche about it. Do you know how scary it is to apologize and start conversations? That's so intimidating. If someone has the courage to come and have a conversation with you, listen, hear them out, be kind. And if it's someone who's done you like really, really dirty, no problem. Let it get them off their chest and then handle your business however you want, right? The other aspect is if you're the person who's going to be opening up, look, as humans, we all are messy in our own ways. And you know, it's so scary. When you open up, just be honest. And if you behaved in such a way that you don't understand why you behaved in such a way, say that too. But say you would like to figure it out, or A, B, and C. But do you see why I said ego is the word of June? It's a tool. It can make your palace or it can make your prison, but it's you who has control over the ego. And if you do not know how to use that tool properly, if you are using that tool to build stuff to hurt other people, well, in June you start to feel the fruits of that. You got to remember, June is just this huge precursor to the Saturn retrograde that will also come this month. And then when Jupiter enters Rohini, I'm just saying, I have very many interesting insights. Handle your business properly. You are, listen here, Goldilocks, you're getting the power to choose which bed you want to lay in. Think well, think properly, think long term. Other than that, I'm out. Bye, hibiscuses. I hope this is helpful.